commentator for the Citadel football and have been for the last decade or so. I have the honor and duty of hosting the Beyond the Barracks show today, brought to you by Cutwater Spirits, and we're on site again at the Over the Horizon Brewery, located right at the foot of the Citadel exit. I call that the Citadel exit.
That's right.
Rutledge Avenue, 219A. Right at the bottom of that exit, just take a right and you're right there at the brewery. Brian Giffen, the voice of the Bulldogs, can't be with us today as he is out in Arizona following the passing of his father. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Giffen family as they deal with this significant family setback. Brian will be back with us next week in his familiar seat. We're really happy to have a lot of Citadel faithful fans here with us today. It's amazing what a win will do, Coach.
Absolutely. I tell you what, so Lee's being nice. He's also a Hall of Famer. He's a pretty darn good football player, and he's not going to brag on himself tonight. But let me tell you something. He was fun to watch. You believe it or not, I didn't see him live, but there's some archives floating around. We got some film.
Well, there is a little film out there. There's still some out there on YouTube. I saw a couple of pictures today from that '84 Carolina game. I just got asked that question a minute ago. We're going to have Maurice Drayton. He's with us here now. We're going to have Ed Conroy a little bit later on. We're also going to have a couple of the guys that are integral parts of your program. Your equipment manager and also your video coordinator will be coming on with us a little bit later on. We're going to dive a little bit maybe into the bye week right at the end of the show today. But let's get this ball rolling today, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk about that Samford game, and we may unpack a little bit more today than usual about the prior game. There's two reasons for that.
Yes.
Number one, this is your trademark win.
Yes, sir.
As far as I'm concerned.
I don't disagree.
You don't disagree. No. Also, we got a bye week next week. So we got time to talk about UTC next week. So we're going to talk about today. I mean, this game may be a little bit more today than we would normally. Let's talk about big picture first. You know, one of the things that I do every week, and a lot of people think that I talk to you prior to the game. We talk about keys to the game, and the three things that I listed were tempo,
yes,
turnovers,
correct,
and big plays.
Absolutely.
All right, and let's talk about those three things real briefly here. First of all, tempo. You know, we lose the coin toss. We come out. We have a penalty on the kick return, and we're starting at our own 7-yard line.
Yes.
But the offense took over from there. An 8-minute drive, 13-play drive. We ended up missing a field goal.
Correct.
But obviously established exactly what I think you like to see in that first segment of the ball game.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about that first segment. We lost the coin toss, as you stated. But it was our goal to control the clock, control their tempo with our offense. We established that the week prior at VMI with that opening drive we had there. We were able to replicate some of that this week. That was the plan. Now, I'm going to put that first missed field goal on me. If you remember,
I was going to ask you if you regret taking that delay of game penalty.
Absolutely. That's totally on me, because really we were going to go for it, but I did not have a mechanism to change to the play that I actually wanted, so we had to take a delay, and that's my fault. So it backed us up 5. Our kickers, our specialists, they're very capable, but it was a little too much. We were kicking into a win, and it fell short. So that's on me. I take full responsibility for that. But nevertheless, we took time off the clock, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to bore Samford. I wanted them to be impatient.
Took over 8 minutes off the clock. It was huge. You know, the next thing we talk about is turnovers.
Yes.
First time all year we've been +3.
Yes.
I joked at the beginning of the game. I said we might have to be +2 or 3 to compete in this game. And lo and behold, my son turns on the radio about 3/4 of the way through the game, and I make the statement, well, we're +3 in turnovers today. He said, God, he hit it on the head.
You did.
But that was really a huge part of this ball game.
It was a huge part. The thing that is disappointing, though, is we have to take those turnovers and turn them into points, and we didn't do that in the manner in which it needs to happen.
Didn't do that early in the game.
Correct.
We're able to do it later on in the game. And the next thing, real quickly, big picture, we talk about big plays. This team can big play you to death.
Yes.
And I really think the tone for that was set by your defense.
Yes.
And I think the play that Bradley Jones made down the left sideline when you were sprinting right behind him, going down the field. You were the first person to high-five him out by the numbers on the field. When he knocked away that 50-50 ball, that kind of set the tone for you're not going to be able just to go down the field on us.
You're absolutely correct. We rep that same play multiple times. So as soon as the ball was snapped, pre-snap, I knew the formation. As soon as the ball was snapped, once that receiver released in the manner he did, I said, we got this. We have worked on this in and out. And Bradley did a great, great job. I'm very proud of him because he was struggling during the week with the trajectory of that type of pass. So what we did, how about this? We took a jugs machine and we just shot the jugs with a spiral. And we put him already downfield about 35, 40 yards, so he only had to run about 15, and just worked on the trajectory of the ball. And we put a body with him so he felt the body so he could play the ball in the air.
Well, that paid off in spades, and I really think that set the tone for your defense. Man, your defense was lights out.
Yes.
Being a former defensive guy, we're going to talk about them a lot here today, but you had to be proud of that defense.
Very proud of the defense. I'm very proud of Raleigh Jackson, our defensive coordinator, who grew up right outside the gates of the Citadel. His dad was the head coach at Burke High School. He's doing a great job. His staff, they're unbelievable. They come to work every day. And let me say this. There's a couple things in coaching that you don't want to do. You do not want to coach the position that your head coach coached or the side of the ball he was on, because it makes for a miserable life. So my defensive staff, my special team staff, it's a miserable existence.
You always talk about the three phases of the game. The first eight, we talked about those first eight. The middle eight, I think even though we didn't get points, we had a couple of missed field goals there early. You had to be happy with the way you started that ball game. You didn't win it points wise, but I think you won it in the 6 inches between everybody's heads.
So, yeah, and let me tell you what I like about how we conversate, because I do disagree with you, right? And I say it on most podcasts, radio shows,
right.
They just kind of all get along. We do get along, but no, I disagree. I was absolutely furious and I was upset.
You were upset?
Yes, because going into the game, I really felt like we were going to win. I kind of did a Lou Holtz deal. Lou Holtz would always, what we call in the country of Moncks Corner, we poor mouth. No, I felt like we should have been better. I really did. I believe in these young men and what they're doing. We got to capitalize on those things, and I was disappointed with that.
Understandable. Missed a couple of field goals, ended up missing a third one a little bit later on, but we missed that first one. They get the ball back, and then on the very first play from scrimmage, Giovanni Ricciardi, a guy that I know you're very proud of, coming over from Western Carolina, gets his hand on the ball, and then Dom makes a circus catch on the tip drill and returns it back and sets us up again deep in their territory. Had to be ecstatic with the way that started.
No, I was very excited about that. Dom has he has a set of the best hands on our team. He does a great job. Gio, who's a walk-on, and I can't say enough about our walk-on graduate students who are in our program. Gio is a starter. He walked on. He's here getting an MBA, and he happened to have eligibility left. He comes out for the team. He does it the right way. Evan Bird, who's a starter for us in the defensive secondary, is a walk-on. He's here in graduate school, has eligibility, and he walks on the team. So I love that fact. I don't want that to be remiss.
Did the thought ever creep into your head after that second field goal? Here we go again. We're not taking advantage of opportunities that are in front of us.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was so furious, and I can talk about it on this show. This is different than a press conference.
Right.
I was so furious with the officials because there was two calls that could have been game-changing calls in that game. I lost my mind for a second, but it's part of what we do too. I wanted my players to see that, and they did, and they fed off of it, and it gave them a little hunger going forward.
Let's talk about that middle 8 that you talk about all the time. The last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. You know, Samford put together their best drive of the ball game and a 12-play, 57-yard drive, got down there, kicked a field goal with about 2.5 minutes left to play in the first half, take a 3-0 lead.
Yes.
What I was most proud of then was that often, you know, you're in a precarious situation there because they get the ball first in the second half. They still got a bunch of timeouts. If we go 3 and out, they got a chance to get another one and possibly 3 scores in a row on us. But our offense takes it and drives it right back down the field.
Yes.
We end up missing another field goal.
We did.
But we go into the halftime 3-0. What was your thoughts at halftime, Coach? I mean, you probably had to feel like you left at least 17 out there.
Yes, it's 17 on the high, 9 on the low. We did. We felt like we left points out there. What we did at halftime, we just explained to the team the truth. We told the truth. Hey, this is what we did, but this is where we are. And now that we understand that, let's find a way to keep moving forward to win this game.
Second half starts, and ironically, it starts exactly like exactly like the first half start. This time it's Thomas Wyatt, your other linebacker. He gets a hand on the ball, tip drill right to Evan Bird. All of a sudden, bam, bam, after one play, you're almost in the red zone. We do get a penalty that backs us up a little bit, but you're right back in business. And I would think as a head coach, after that halftime speech, whatever it may have been, that had to be exactly the juice that you needed coming out of halftime.
It was the juice we needed. I played bad cop a little bit on that, and to challenge the defense, we have to score on those opportunities. It's not just good enough. It's not good enough to get the turnover. Let's score, and there are things that we can do in practice that I reminded them of to set up a return off of turnovers going forward. So I was the bad cop. They were a little ticked off with me, but that's okay.
Well, I did get on Evan after the game. I interviewed him and said, man, you should have taken that one to the house. Yes. I couldn't find the lane, is what he told me. I couldn't find the lane. You know, that time, though, we took advantage.
Yes, we did. We did.
4 running plays, I think, after that, punched it in the end zone, take the 7-3 lead, and now all of a sudden you've got better control of the ball game.
Correct.
All right, we exchanged a couple of punts. So it's safe to say, you know, that pretty much ate up that middle 8.
It did.
And I would say check mark on
so we won the middle 8.
Middle 8, no question about it. So then Samford goes to drive and gets down inside our territory, get a big hit from Jamazon Roberts on the kid after about 12 to 14 yards down the field, knocks it loose. Same Bradley Jones recovers it, and you get the turnover you need to preserve this big 7-3 lead.
Correct.
You know, we didn't pick up a first down on that drive. We picked up one first down on that drive, but then we get into the Ben Platt story.
That's right.
All right,
this guy.
He was the FCS stats performance National Special Teams Player of the Week last week. That's amazing.
Amazing. Unbelievable. It's an unbelievable story. This guy was an equipment manager when he came to the Citadel, who is self-taught initially, but he's grown off of the benefit of his hard work. He had Cade Rainings last year as the special teams coordinator, who is now a special teams coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. He also has Tony Coxum, who's our current special teams coordinator, who worked in Baltimore under Harbaugh, a special teams guy, and won a Super Bowl in Denver with Joe D. Camillus, who's the special teams coordinator at the University of South Carolina. So he's getting good coaching. He has the hard work, the background, the ethic. Man, I tell you, it's a great story.
Well, he comes in, he gets off a bomb.
Yes.
Pins him at their 7-yard line.
It was unbelievable.
And that's what really led to the first score.
Correct.
Or the second score to put you up by 2 scores. We get a 3-and-out. Defense does a great job. Short punt.
Yes.
We get it out at about their 30, 35-yard line. 2 plays later, after a big, nice option read by Jonathan, Garrison knocks it in from 5 yards out, and you're up 14-3.
Yes.
All right. You hadn't been in that situation since you've been here in the 2 years. Our guys haven't been in that situation. What's the message to them? Okay, you're up 2 scores. We're basically through the middle 8. We've preached finish. all year long.
Yes.
Is that part of the conversation on the sideline?
That was definitely the conversation on the sideline. Finishing, that was our messaging. It was kill a gnat with a sledgehammer, and it's not about the gnat that you're killing. It's about all those gnats that are watching. It was our time to show everyone that, hey, we're for real, we're serious, we're taking the messaging, and now we're putting it on the field.
Samford puts together a pretty good drive after that. They go down, and then they miss a short one.
Yes.
They return the favor. And so when they miss that field goal, and it's still a 2-score game, you talked about killing the gnat with the sled. I call it stepping on their neck.
Yes.
You got to step on their neck when you have a chance to step on their neck. We weren't able to do that against Furman.
Nope.
We let them hang around, and we ended up losing that game at the end. So now you got to be thinking, okay, first downs. You got to be thinking clock. You got to be thinking more points if you can get them.
Yes.
But anything different than that going through your head at that point?
No, I told our offensive coordinators, Lamar Owens, our play caller, Patrick Covington, co-offensive coordinator, hey, pedal to the metal. We have to go. Run the offense that we planned coming into this game.
So they missed the field goal.
Yes.
We do pick up a first down after that. That was one thing we were really good at, I thought. We didn't get a lot of first downs, but when we needed a first down, we were able to get one. And then we got James Platt again coming out there.
Correct.
And he hits another one and pins him down at the 2-yard line.
Yes.
They can't get out of that bind. It really leads to your next score.
Correct. So at the beginning of the year, one of my personal goals to the offensive staff, to our team, was end every drive with a kick. That is a goal that I gave the offensive staff. And they didn't quite get it at first. PAT, field goal, punt. That is better than a turnover because we have a weapon at our punter position. And he's getting better, especially in that poot zone now. He's learning how to directionalize it. He changes his drop to put the ball right where we need it.
So Johnny Crawford takes it in from 18 yards out, untouched, I might add. And you go up 21-3. The fat lady's singing. If you're a Bulldog fan, the fat lady's singing. You still got to make a couple of plays, but the fat lady's singing. I'm singing in the press box. I can tell you that right now. But Samford's now in a situation where they're in 4-down territory everywhere they go. Yeah. One play I want to bring up before we put a bow on this one. 4th and 10.
Yes.
Very shifty quarterback, a guy that can run.
Yes.
I mean, really run.
Yes.
He breaks out on 4th and 10. It's him and Cale Williams.
Oh, I love it. Love the matchup.
And Cale Williams comes up and absolutely plants him. Oh. And he does not go 6 inches further down the field, stops him on 4th down. We take the ball over, and then you step on their neck more with 7 more.
That hit was vicious. I was scared for both players. I really was, because the way it sounded on the field, it reminded me, and it's not the same, but it reminded me of Steve Atwater hitting Christian Okoye. The sound of it was explosive.
I know you were proud of that tackle.
Oh,
former defensive back, you had to be proud of that one. So you shove it in, make it 28-3. They get some garbage points and some garbage yards at the end. Coach, I know you say every game's a big game because it's the next game.
Correct.
And that was a big game because it was the next game. But what did this win do for you, your staff, and your players and their mentality?
Yeah, it validates all the hard work. It validates the messaging that we've been giving them since we got here. It's like, okay, it works this way. We need to execute it. So now the next part is doing it week in and week out and being consistent.
All right, we got to take a break here real quick. I think we could probably talk 60 minutes straight with no break.
Definitely.
But I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. You're listening to the Beyond the Barracks show at the Over the Horizon Brewery down on Harriet Street in downtown Charleston. We'll be back after these messages.
All right. Thank you.
That's 1989. Does that make you my knob?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Pretty much so.
And you my idol.
And as most of you know, Ed's in his second stint at his alma mater and entering his third season back at the helm. Ed, I'll tee it up for you. You and I go way back. I'm class of 86, you're class of 89. I remember watching you never miss a free throw and throw up threes from everywhere. You were Steph before Steph.
Well, I don't know about that. But we did. It's one of the reasons Coach Robinson started it. He was one of the first. Him and Rick Pitino, in my mind, were the first two that really embraced the three. And the Southern Conference had the three as an experimental rule when I was a freshman. But Iowa, where I played high school, we already had it in. We were one of the first states to have it. So Coach Robinson loved coming up there watching games. And then the summer of my freshman year, before sophomore year, the NCAA voted it in permanently, and I was thrilled because I knew my value was higher with that line in place. So, the first three ever in college basketball was in the Southern Conference, Western Carolina.
All right, that's awesome, man.
Love it.
You had an exhibition game yesterday.
We did.
With Barton College. Those stats and all that is under lock and key. I understand that, but tell me a little bit about how that went. Tell me about some of the players that maybe stood out, and were there any surprises that you saw from your team yesterday?
Well, I thought it was perfect learning experience for us. Our guys came out. I think some were a little tight, and that's why we do it. We're allowed to play 2 games against outside competition in the fall, and I do one that's against. You're allowed, if you do it with no fans in the stands, you can play another Division I team. So I did that against UNC Wilmington. But I like to get them out in their uniforms one time. When we had the band, the pep band was great there yesterday. We had some fans there, just to get them in McAllister Fieldhouse. Especially now, you put your teams together with the transfer portal year by year. So there's a lot of guys that had never stepped foot on that court before or worn that uniform. So it was great to get them out there. I think we came out a little nervous. They jumped on us pretty good early. Had the lead at halftime, but our guys didn't panic. The one thing we did really, really well, which I've been preaching all summer and fall, we really shared the ball well. We had 19 assists and 6 turnovers. Made a lot of mistakes defensively, made a lot of mistakes rebounding-wise. Have to shore those up, but I love the team attitude that we had and the approach we had where everybody was really passing that ball.
Well, tell us a little bit about that team. I was going to talk about the transfer portal and all that here in just a little bit, but who are some of those faces that the Bulldog fans can look forward to maybe hearing their names often this year?
So Brody Fox is a transfer for us, grad transfer that he led us in scoring yesterday. He's a young man that was in Minneapolis when I was up there at the University of Minnesota. In fact, his brother right now will be in the rotation for the University of Minnesota this year. But Brody was a guy that went Division III because he was smaller, and then he grew in college and became an absolute stat sheet stuffer while he was in college playing Division III basketball. And now he has a chance to come down here as a grad transfer and see if that can translate to this level. And by all indications, the first 2 games, whether it was Wilmington or yesterday against Barton, he certainly can. He had 21 yesterday, and the thing that we like about him, we like to post up our guards. We like to get our guys downhill and get to the free throw line. He's terrific at that. Led the country in free throw attempts, I think, the last couple of years. So he fits right in with what we like to do. John Adams started at center for us. He's another grad transfer. He'll be a little smaller version of a Quentin Malora-Brown that we had last year. And then there were several other guys, but the group that I was most anxious to see was actually our freshmen from last year and see if they made that jump you want them to make. And Keenan Davis started for us yesterday. Cam Roberts played a lot of minutes. Those are 2 guys that I think will have big roles for us, and they certainly did yesterday. Christian Moore, everybody asked about. He was hurt last year as a freshman. He got cleared yesterday, or today actually, so this morning. So he'll be back in practice and ready to go full speed. But that's the group I really want to see if they can take that step forward.
Basketball more so than probably any other sport. It changes from, you just mentioned it a minute ago, from year to year with that transfer portal. When you've only got to have 5 guys on the court, it can change so much with just 2 or 3 different guys coming into or out of your program. How difficult is that to manage? That's got to be unbelievably difficult to manage.
Well, that's the beauty of basketball is that everybody touches the ball, and everybody has to be have at some level has to be able to do every fundamental thing, whether it's pass, catch, dribble, shoot, and so it's all about playing together and to form that chemistry. When you haven't been through anything tough together off the floor, whether it's a couple losses in a row or just the drain of a season, anything like that. It's tough to keep that chemistry, and it's something you're on guard all the time. We try to get them together in the summer and do as many experiences and things we can together just to kind of build that bond, because it really is the secret of basketball is it's not about basketball. It's really not about that talent. It's about how all those guys play together to fulfill a role.
I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming season. People are excited about Citadel basketball. I think you're kind of excited about this team based on what I've heard and the couple times we've talked about it. You open up at Boston College. November the 4th, you go up to Chestnut Hill. Arguably, you should have taken those guys last year. It was a 1-point game, less than a minute to play, ended up being a 4-point loss. What does that experience for the guys that were there then? How do they package that and take that with them up to Chestnut Hill when you go to open up with Boston College?
Well, the biggest thing, and we've already talked about it, it's painful for me to watch that film. It really is. We just weren't ready to execute like we needed to down the stretch and take that game home. But I certainly thought we could have, gotten the win. So I want our guys knowing the expectation going up there is to win this game. And, so whether it's an ACC score or not, and I think our guys last year now with a little bit of familiarity, they've seen that uniform before. Obviously, we didn't play them on the road. But I love the fact that we go up there and let's have a real battle to start this year, and one that our guys want to show themselves.
Well, one game that you did make it happen was when you went to Notre Dame last year. I was watching that game on TV. I was so excited, and I just couldn't get over the fact that kept waiting for the shoe to fall, but it never fell. You just kept extending that lead. How does that win rank for you as far as in your coaching tenure? At what level does that rank for you?
Well, it's pretty special. And I think anybody that was on the trip or was at that game kind of knew when they saw family there and that stuff. The Conroys are originally from the south side of Chicago. My cousin Pat and his family was south because of the military, but we're all from the south side. My mom and dad are both south siders. The great Santini Pat's dad, south sider, and when you grow up Catholic on the south side of Chicago, you are a Notre Dame fan.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of drilled into you at an early age. So to go up there in my coaching career and get a chance to play there and play as well as we did, win a game 65-45, and it was really special. And then to throw in all the other storylines, Elijah Morgan, a kid that meant a lot to me from New Orleans. I knew him growing up. I helped him go to Notre Dame to get on the basketball team. He calls me the first day I got the job at Citadel and said, "Coach, I can graduate from Notre Dame in 3 years. I want to come play for you." I said, "There's no way you're getting through Notre Dame's business school in 3 years." He said, "No, I can do it. I've got some professors who signed off. I'm going to take 18 hours this summer, and I'm going to be there playing for you next year." He comes down here and scored more points in that game than he did in his entire Notre Dame career. And just he out-Rudied Rudy. It was you couldn't make it. It's a movie. He couldn't make up what we saw transpire that night, and so special on a lot of fronts. But great for me to be back in front of family and friends. And
a huge win. We're all so proud of you. Let's briefly talk about the upcoming season. You got a 11-game, basically non-conference slate to start off with. You got a couple of notables that you're going to be playing. Obviously, Boston College. You got College Charleston at home, and then you also go to Vanderbilt. Give us in a nutshell what you expect to see out of maybe those first 11 games. What do you want to accomplish for this team?
Well, I think this team, and I am excited about coaching this team. They are. We have our. They're like their head coach, right? We have our strengths. We have our weaknesses, right? We have some things, some challenges for this team, but I like their effort. I love their attitude every day. Like you saw yesterday, they shared the basketball. I think they have a little bit of an edge to them about they're not the guys that got paid, and they want to prove that. Yet, I know they still need practice time to come together. So we could play 13 would be the maximum amount of games we could play. We're going to forego a tournament that we could have been in. We're going to play 11, have a few more practice days in December. We have several home games. I want our crowd and our fans to help me grow this team, if you will, and get some confidence playing at home. Our first Division I home game is against Stetson, who was in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about them, when they see College Charleston coming up after that. But we'll have 4 Division I home games in November, December. That doesn't always happen at the Citadel, along with the Boston College, Vanderbilt game. So hopefully we can pace this team correctly and get to where we are healthy in January, February, get a better seeding in that Southern Conference tournament, and start winning games in March. That's my whole aim with this team, is to pace them correctly, teach them, get some confidence, and by the time we get to March, we're ready to go. back to last year's team real quick. I thought last year, I knew we would have to pace Winston Hill to get back in shape. I knew that would take time, even though everybody wanted him out there right away. And I thought when we beat Notre Dame, we had NC State Final Four team by 11. Boston College NIT team, as you said, we were up with a minute to go. Notre Dame, we beat them by 20. I thought if that team had stayed healthy and kept believing that we had enough in that locker room, we could have been one of the best little teams of all time. When we lost those guys, human nature set in, the transfer portal. We just lost our edge a little bit, and we took some hero shots, if you will. We didn't play as a team anymore. This team, we have to pace them and keep them going to the finish line and keep believing that they have enough in that locker room and that we can be a factor in March.
After the first of the year, you obviously start the Southern Conference slate. Southern Conference is no small task. I know you got a pretty good feel for what's out there. Notwithstanding the Citadel, who are the teams to look for in the Southern Conference this year as the ones that maybe the ones to be in that top 1 or 2, 3 seed in the Southern Conference tournament?
Well, I think you look right to the transfer portal and you see who really made some waves in the portal, and Samford was strong there again. East Tennessee State, they're kind of loading up a little bit. Chattanooga has some returning guards, but then they did very well in the portal. I think you put those teams, right near the top. And as you said, the Southern Conference, I think it's 7 years now. 6 of the last 7 years, we've been around the 11th or 12th ranked league in the country out of 32. So it's a heck of a basketball league, and it's the highest ranked league every year that's only been getting one bid typically. And that's why you saw teams like, Samford played a heck of a game in the tournament this year. Furman won a game in the tournament against Virginia the year before. Our league can compete. After the time we continue to ready to play. It's one of the best ever.
I remember when you played.
Home game the entire floor is there. They get in that gym early. They really get after us when we get there. They're Wednesday games, or if your name's not games, they really get after it. Samford, because they've been winning, their home crowd has really picked it up. But in the Roundhouse, Chattanooga's always been a tough one. East Tennessee, they care about basketball at Johnson City. So there's a lot of good home courts in there. But I would say when we go on the road on that Saturday at Lexington, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
They're not still playing in the dome at East Tennessee State, are they?
No.
They used to play basketball in that dome, which was crazy.
He just listed the whole league. Huh? He just listed the whole league.
I know he did.
I mean, it's tough.
You go back to, you said when we were in school, McAllister was a tough place to play. I came down here on a Thursday, still playing Davidson, my senior year in high school. Coach Robinson's team was in the middle of the longest winning streak in the country, 26-game home winning streak. I saw the crowd that night. I saw Buck. I saw everything going on. I saw I was with Regent Truesdale in the afternoon and walking to the game with him, and everybody yelling out the windows of the bay. It was like walking down there with Gladiator. It was, and we were going down there, and that really put me over the top as far as I want to go there and play in front of those guys. And Commandant's office has been great. I think we're going to have some really good Wednesday home games in league play with some great core attendance. We're working on it, and had a pep band that was kind of formed the other night at our game. I thought they were making a difference. I'm hopeful that our atmosphere can be really good.
Well, I'm looking forward to that and hope to be able to get down for a few of them. Man, we want to really appreciate you coming out tonight. And looking forward to this basketball season and seeing what you guys can put on the floor. And hopefully it's a product that everybody's proud of.
Anytime I can sit next to this guy, this is my guy, first of all. But also the job he's doing, unbelievable. I'm fortunate. I get to see it day by day and how he's building this program. And you're starting to see the results now, which is incredible that you can see them already. But the foundation he's laying is just I've been very fortunate. 12 schools, been around some of the best coaches that have ever lived, whether it's Pat Summitt and different Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt, Dick Sheridan at NC State, just different ones. And this guy can coach.
I appreciate it.
Amen to that. Talking about head coach Maurice Drayton sitting up here joining.
If we have time, I do want to talk about Ed's triple-double. We're at Over the Horizon Brewery.
Yes.
Harriet Street. downtown Charleston. Listen, for every can sold of Ed's Triple Double and Moe's Ginger Ale, $1 goes into our programs.
And no, it's awesome that these guys support us like they do, and that's why Coach and I, we stop here as much as we can just to visit with people. But I would like to see a bar back here. Like, who is in the? It's been back and forth. I come in some nights.
Who's in the lead?
Oh, I hear 5 or 6 people say they like Moe's Ginger Ale, and I walk out and I go home. And then other nights I come in and they're all cheering because they're drinking, Ed's Conroy's Triple Double. So I stay on those nights.
He does a great job.
We will definitely have to promote that a little bit more. But thanks for coming, man. And we look forward to this basketball season. And we're going to take a quick break. And maybe you can go find one of those Ed's Triple Doubles.
I might have to.
All right. That's Ed Conroy. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after these messages. You're listening to the Beyond the Barracks show at the Over the Horizon Brewery, brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll be back after this. Horizon Brewery, Beyond the Barracks show. Got two really special guys with the Citadel football program here with us for this last segment of the night. We got Gary Montier, he's the equipment manager, and also got Dennis Carlson. Got both of them on the headset at the same time. Going to try to talk to both of them at the same time. First thing I want to know from you guys is a little bit of your background. Where are you from? How about you, Dennis? Where are you from?
Originally from Clearwater, Florida. Been in Charlotte for about 20 years before coming here to the Citadel 4 years ago.
I was going to say, what brought you to Charleston?
One of the guys on the previous staff I had worked with at Southeastern Louisiana University. This spot came open in 2021, and he put my name in, and it was a great interview, and just decided to continue my career here at the Citadel.
And Dennis is the video coordinator. We're going to talk a little bit more about what you do and how you do it here in just a little bit. Gary Montier is also with us. And Gary, where are you from?
I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts.
Can't tell by your accent.
No, accent. I don't have an accent, man. You want me to park your car? I can.
Park your car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've been all over the place.
I have. I've been to Arkansas, Tulsa, and Idaho, and I did some work for USA Football for a little while. Took me to Texas and Ohio. Been doing this for a little bit, yep.
And Gary is the equipment manager for the Dogs, and you were telling me before we went on the air that you thought maybe you wanted to be a coach.
I did.
And then you got into the equipment side of it, and that's really kind of satisfied all worlds for you, hadn't it?
100%, because you don't have to make the hard decisions on game day, right? Who's playing or what play to call or stuff like that. Because there was times where when I was coaching, the very sleepless nights, like I should have called this, I should have called that, or it was a tough deal. Now all I got to worry about is make sure I got the right uniforms and the kids are safe with the helmet fittings and the shoulder pads and the way that technology is these days. It's made my job a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy what I do. I love being around that atmosphere, and I work for a great coach. The whole coaching staff is phenomenal.
Now, I will tell you, we're on YouTube here tonight, and he's got one of the best-looking Citadel Hawaiian shirts on that you have ever seen.
Yeah.
He covered it up with his Under Armour swag. I got to get me one of those, is all I got to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think I can make that work for you.
You think you can
Yes,
make
sir.
that work?
Yes,
I
sir.
might be talking to the right guy?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Now, Dennis, you are the video coordinator. Tell folks, but mostly what you do is all game film for the most part. You do some hype stuff that we'll talk about in a minute. But tell folks what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I manage a student assistant staff of about 8 to 10 student cadets that record practice for us, record games. They travel on the road for us. But we basically have to take everything that happens on the practice field and put it onto the system for the coaches to be able to watch, analyze, go back, and it's essentially the curriculum that the coaches need to be able to teach from. So we record every single moment, every single drill that happens at practice, get that on our software system, get it edited and posted before the coaches ever walk off the field. So we live in this world now, everything's got to be instant. All of our cameras just immediately upload to the server across the campus network.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What's your turnaround time? You say it's got to be done before they get off the field.
Yeah, so my goal is, with the way we finish up practice, obviously very regimented schedule on campus, they've got to be out 30 minutes after practice is over because they've got to get to the mess hall, get to formation, get to evening study period. I've got to get them out, so everything has to be done. We might be 4 periods into practice. Those first 3 periods are already done, published, pushed to the cloud for the players on their phone. Like, everything's got to be completely ready so coaches can just walk in their office after practice, sit down, start working, gets them home to their families earlier.
Man, times have changed a lot from the mid-'80s. I remember going in and still seeing that, the film where they'd run it back and forth and embarrass you if you made a bad play.
Yeah, could I just say, though, that Dennis makes a great point because our job is quick, right? We got to do everything fast. And also, our students are the ones that drive what we do so tremendous. We have great students that work hard every day, and then they take a lot of responsibility on what we do, so they make our job somewhat simple. So if it wasn't for them, it would be even tougher for us because what they go through every day with school and structure and all that stuff, and then they come work for us, and they're dedicated. And as Dennis can say, that they work hard. So we're fortunate to have the people we have. I have 5 of them, and it's great to have them. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Dennis?
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of the biggest changes we've seen this year, and I told you we were going to talk about this before we came on the air, is the implementation of iPads on the sideline. Talk a little bit about, if you would, about how that's changed game day, how it's changed actually, because now it's not when they come off the field, it's immediate. They've got to be able to see what happened on that last play. Where was the breakdown? Talk about how that's changed how they coach, number one, and number two, how you have to do your job.
So how they coach, I've coached for quite a few years at the high school level, and you come off and you're trying to get information from the players. What's happening here? What are you seeing there? And the players have their focus and their kind of tunnel vision, and they don't know how to do that coach speak and kind of interaction to put it all together. So now they're getting the same 2 cameras they normally get after the game, and I share out with the rest of the country. They're getting those immediately as they happen. So as soon as that series is over, they come over, they grab the iPads, and they're going through it. And I kind of bounce back and forth between the 2 benches just to make sure, obviously, everything's working, but also to kind of see how they're using it, see what they're doing. And the coaches are able to just turn it around and say, look, right here, this is what you need to do on this call, this is what you need to do on that call. And then, every once in a while, I'll hear the offensive coordinator say, ooh, I like that one, I'm coming back to this.
Yeah.
So they know exactly what they should come back to, call again.
There's got to be a lot of satisfaction in your job when you see footage that you've been able to put together really quickly, an adjustment to be made, and all of a sudden, instead of having to wait till halftime, we're stopping that play after maybe the 2nd time they've run it instead of the 14th time they've run it.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny with the new equipment that's come in on game day. He and I are actually fighting over power outlets on the sideline. We go to VMI, and they don't have enough juice going, so we had to share a lot of equipment.
Yes.
All right, guys, we'll have to wrap it up here quickly, but you do a lot of hype videos also, and I know you do that internally for the team. Heard a lot about it. Hopefully, I get to see some of those sometime, and thank you for that, because that's big to get the team rolling in the right direction. I'm just glad we got the highlights to use now. Last year we had a hard time with that. All right, so folks, we got to take a quick break before we bring Maurice back up here. But Gary Montier and Dennis Carlson, equipment manager and video coordinator for the Citadel, thank you guys for what you do, and rock on.
Hey, thank you. Thank
All
you
right,
for being
we'll
so
take
nice.
a quick break and be back here with head coach Maurice Drayton. You're listening to Beyond the Barracks at Over the Horizon Brewery. We'll be back.
All right.
Awesome. seat and going to talk real quickly, Coach, a little bit about the bye week. I know that you and Brian will talk a lot about Chattanooga next week. You know, that bye week sometimes is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
When you're playing well, and arguably right now we're playing about as well as we can, you just want to go tee it up again. And then, but the flip side of that is sometimes you need to get people well. And yeah, what's your thoughts? And as you go into the bye week, what's your mentality?
So for this team where we are here and now, the bye week is right on time. I'm a grinder. Our coaches need a break. Our players need a break. So we're going to take this time and do a lot of self-scouting where we look at ourselves, look at what we've been doing, see what we can improve, see what hasn't been working, and we have time to do it. In addition to that, we want to have fun. Most of our young men, football is fun at one time. So I want to put the fun back in football this week. I have some things up my sleeve we're going to do at practice and in meetings to have a little bit of fun, and then get back to the basics, techniques, fundamentals, things that you can rely on that can bring you through tough times.
Sometimes it's hard to balance the fact, I know you're sitting here as a head coach thinking, man, we played so well last week. How do you balance? Because all of that is very important, especially for the well-being of the player and the coaching staff and the wives, too.
Yeah.
Don't forget the wives.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance that a lot of times, isn't it? Looking out briefly, we got 3 games left in the season. This is a very late bye week. Chattanooga in a couple of weeks, homecoming.
Yes.
Big crowd. You know all about homecoming. Alumni are pretty excited right now. I would expect we're going to have a pretty good crowd. You got to be anxiously anticipating Chattanooga coming to town.
Yes, big crowds coming, and we need the crowd. We need the fan support. Chattanooga is on a 5-game win streak. These guys are playing lights-out ball. They have Western Carolina this week. If they get this one, obviously 6 in a row. I tell you what, this will be a tough game. Once again, and this is not the Lou Holtz. I'm telling the truth. We do not match up well. Their skill positions are very good. We're young on the perimeter. So we're going to need the rest that we're getting this week, in addition to a gargantuan effort out of our perimeter players. And then up front and on the line, we have to have big play in order for us to be successful.
And then we close out the year. We go to Wofford. Obviously, that's turned into a pretty good rivalry as of late.
Yes.
I know when we used to play them way back when, it wasn't much of a rivalry. But when they started beating us every now and then, and pretty regular there for a while, it turned into a big rivalry. And then Clemson on the road. Do you use games like Clemson as recruiting tools?
Yes, you would definitely use it as a recruiting tool. But right now, I don't see.
I know
Clemson.
You're not thinking about it.
I don't see Clemson. I'm focused on Chattanooga. That is in my windshield right now, and that's where all our effort and intensity and efforts are going. In addition to recruiting, because recruiting is the lifeline and the bloodline of our program.
Well, so far so good with that. I speak for many of my former teammates and alumni that they absolutely blow me up on the phone up in the press box. It's fun to watch. It's fun to listen to. It's fun to read. Some of that stuff I can't say on the air.
Oh, I believe it.
But people are excited,
yes.
and that's due to you and your effort and your coaching staff's effort and this team's effort.
Yes.
And congratulations for that. Just keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Everybody, that's head coach Maurice Drayton, and that's going to close out our segment of Beyond the Barracks here at Over the Horizon Brewery. Don't forget, Ed's Triple-double, and Mo Gas. Need to get some Mo Gas. That's Mo's Ginger Ale. $1 from every one of those cans that are sold goes into their respective programs. So come on down here and buy you a case or two and put some money into the Bulldog programs. We'll be back next week with Brian Giffen as he will return back from Arizona after his family trip, and we'll be back in the saddle again. So we will see you in a couple of weeks, Coach.
Thank you, Lee.
All right. We'll sign it off now. You've been listening.